It's RantDay today, or Monday, and it's actually really early where I am, but yeah. Anyway, this day is a day that is the day where the resting days end for a lot of people, and it's back to the weekdays of a harsh reality. And what better way to start that day is than with a passionate RantDay to get that extra little RantDay spirit that you need to pop back into the days of reality. The show is highly opinion-based and made in order to talk about and get focused on things that I believe are heading in the wrong direction, or just simply are wrong. I will base my opinions on things I've heard, read, or seen throughout my life as a gamer. If a fact is wrong, I apologize in advance. Today's subject: gaming popularity. I've been gaming ever since I was a little kid. I started gaming on my NES back in the 90s, and soon I had borrowed the neighbor's grandkids' SNES, and since it wasn't there very often, I borrowed it a lot, and I used it a lot. Eventually they actually forgot that I had it, so I still have it until this day. Am I ever gonna give it back? Probably not. It's like a token lost in the time of my childhood, and it's actually pretty dear to me. Even back then I was so hooked on gaming. I remember going to my friends' houses and having days of just gaming the same game, having sleepovers and then continuing the next day with the same game, discovering secrets, battling bosses, and having no care in the world. Maybe except for our parents telling us to go outside, but that's a different thing, so yeah. I think you can connect to a game in a different way as a kid. Your mind just wanders and you were so hooked into the world of the game you were playing that nothing else mattered. And that was really important for me, and I think that's the case for a lot of people. When I was in middle school, I discovered the world of PC gaming. I found something there that consoles could not offer, being able to customize my experience and download old NES games or SNES ROMs with just a click of a button and an old 56K modem. Suddenly I had thousands of games that I could pick, choose, and try from, and I guess I became a little bit more picky. But still, the best games back then were amazing, and it was actually pretty hard to find a bad one. Bang. We're in the present. I'm sitting here looking at Steam. The last 2 years of gaming have totally changed everything for me. I can sit for hours looking through all the new releases on Steam. One thing I like about how it is today is that anyone with a little skill and time can actually get their game out to the whole world really easy now. Which is cool and all, but now we come to the one thing I don't like about how gaming is today. Anyone with a little skill and time can actually get their game out to the whole world really easy now. We're flooded with crappy titles that are just click and money bait, and if that's not the case, it's just a plain crappy game. Unlike in my childhood, I have a hard time finding good games now instead of bad ones. And I guess that's not so weird since there's so much more games being produced now than it was 15 years ago. Maybe, just maybe, I'm mixing in a bit of nostalgia there as well, but even the games that are supposed to be good are actually not that good anymore. At least not as good as they could be. Before, almost every game a AAA studio produced was good. This is not the case today. And now we come to where the title of this video comes into play. The quality of the games that are being released today are often a lot poorer than before because gaming is so much more popular nowadays. But should gaming being popular not be a good thing for the industry, you ask? Well, kind of yes and kind of no. Since there's so much more money involved in the industry now than before, that becomes more of a focus. Developers can start to focus more money and more effort into creating hype and ads around the game before the release because there are so many platforms for developers to reach viewers and potential customers on. And there are some companies that are masterminds of this. Before, this was actually not a big focus at all, well, at least not as big as it is today. Mainly because there's not that many platforms, or there weren't not that many platforms. But if you created a game back then, it had to be really good so people started to talk about it and then show it to their friends. And this is the way it should be today as well, even from a financial standpoint. Why? Because if you create a game and do not just want to get money and revenue from it on the release date, and actually wanted to have it as a source of income for years to come. Thanks to platforms such as Steam that makes all that possible, you focus less on hype and advertisement and more on development. This seems so simple, and yet we have big companies like Ubisoft and EA that pushes out releases on titles way earlier than they should to get more sales around Christmas, or to compete with another big title, or just simply because they've used too much resources on creating hype in before the game so they can spend more on the actual product. And this greatly hurts the games that I love and hold dear. Potentially big and awesomely good game franchises like Call of Duty, Battlefield, Mass Effect, Dragon Age, Watch Dogs, Assassin's Creed, and so much more will suffer forever because of today's gaming industry being such a huge market. Fans of Mass Effect will forever remember the horrible ending of the third installment because of EA pushing the release. Battlefield fans will forever remember the horrible state Battlefield 4 was in when it first saw the light of day because of EA pushing the release. We will always remember the most hyped game ever, or at least one of the most hyped games ever, Watch Dogs, falling flatter on its face than any title I've seen before because of Ubisoft's poor decision making. And today, we have all the early access mumbo jumbo I talked about last week that are basically money baits and lures and false promises that will never live up to what they aimed out to be. This is hugely because of gaming being as popular as it is, and a lot of people are just taking advantage of this. I hope that game companies will actually notice this bad trend and focus more on creating titles that will live throughout the ages as masterpieces that are, instead of masterpieces that could have been. I hope that game producers see what kind of opportunities that gaming being popular actually holds as its core, instead of all the money they could make at the release of a game. Money makes the world go round, but it could potentially make it stop as well. Remember that. Now, I've only scratched the surface of this problem, and under the visible top, there's an iceberg. If you want to disagree with me, agree with me, or simply discuss further, to be able to shed light on even more problems about this topic, then let's do so in the comment section below. Also, if you want, you are more than welcome to give suggestions about what I should rant about next. And, as always, until next time, guys. Bye.